we once said, or we agreed with the notion that Dak Prescott was the black Kirk Cousins. I think Justin Herbert might be the white Dak Prescott. Nobody can out Prescott but Herbert. Maybe just fade these guys when they're in a big primetime game. But it looked like a Prescott off. There was a Prescott off last night.
There was a Prescott
They were just
off.
trying to figure out who's going to do more Prescott.
And lose this game first.
You got two idiot coaches. You got Staley. You got old hamburger patty over there, whatever his name is, McCarthy. Those two guys trying who's the bigger idiot, and then you got Herbert being a better Prescott than Prescott.
Saying that Dak Prescott is the black Kirk Cousins is an
insult to Kirk Cousins.
To Kirk Cousins.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys on
Guys on
Sports.
Sports.
NFL Week 6 is in the books. We're looking towards NFL Week 7.
Week 7.
We got a TikTok take. We're going to recap our waiver wires and our We Called It predictions. We're going to go over what we learned in general for Week 3, Week 6.
Still loud.
And we're gonna whisper the
Turn
entire
this down
time.
just a little bit. No, we can talk loud if we lower the sound,
Nah, let's just
so it
be
doesn't
loud.
peak. No, then we won't have a shot.
Man.
And we have waiver wires for Week 7. And we're going to tell you our bold predictions. And they're going to be 100% accurate.
Always, as always.
Speaking of 100% accuracy, I'm going to skip over TikTok take because I over-segued myself just now. We're going to roll with it. We're going to go with our waiver wire. We're going to recap what we did. Rocky had the Cardinals rookie running back that I'm going to mispronounce his name because you definitely spelled that name wrong.
Marcado, I didn't look it up.
Amari Marcado.
Yeah.
Amari.
I was like, the first name doesn't start with an A, and that's not how the
I
last name is
thought
spelled.
Amari. What is it?
Emari.
Emari.
Yeah, either way.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Cardinals running
Hey,
back.
you're welcome.
Wait a minute. You're gonna take a spelling suggestion from this guy.
You can't even get it out, so I think right there.
That's all right. I mean,
disqualify.
next time I just won't write it up there.
That's
It's fine.
because I'm going on no sleep, buddy. 15 miles in the books, getting V shredded.
That's
Is
the
this
second
guy
time
still?
you've mentioned it.
Yeah, I
I feel
wanna
like I
hear
can't
it.
hear myself at all. I hope they
You
can
can't
hear
hear
us.
yourself.
Stop
then-
whispering.
Hey, go to a doctor if you can't hear
Wait a
yourself,
minute.
because I can hear
Turn
you.
our headphones up then. Leave the mics down. Just turn our headphones up.
Oh, that's a good
Wow, look
idea.
at that.
Look at that. Goddamn genius.
It really didn't do anything, but
It sounds
a
better for
little
me.
bit. It does sound a little. Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
mine's-
anyway.
okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Okay. Rasheed Rice hit.
He did.
11 fantasy points in most scoring formats.
Good for me, Rasheed.
Boom.
Rasheed. Sorry.
Shit, it's
Good
a
job,
fun name to
Rasheed.
say too.
John Mechie whiff, but that's okay. Still time to be proven on that.
Did Mechie didn't hit?
B Powell.
No.
B Powell. I don't know his first name.
Brandon? Is it Brandon?
Brandon Powell.
Yeah.
Brandon Powell. I would say that's kind of a hit. He did well.
Are you
About 7
getting
points.
emotional?
PPR. I started him.
He really felt that. He felt
Felt that in my soul.
deep in the plums.
We have Johnny Smith hit.
Hit.
Yep.
Caught a tud 2 times in back-to-back weeks.
That's
Carter
right.
Samuel hit.
Hit.
The fact that those two guys are still on the waiver wire is ridiculous.
That's
though.
true.
Yeah, it is.
Chigo, not a hit. Whiff. Not too well. Only had about
But
4
he hit the
targets.
previous week.
Yeah.
I like
So-
how you backhandedly gave me a compliment there. It was something.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, those guys are on
yeah,
the
those guys.
not on my waiver list.
This is called bullshit. That's why.
Josh Downs hit. Caught
Hit.
a tud. Looks good.
I mean, really, Phil hit, right?
Seemingly
Preseason?
looks like Gardner Minshew is
Preseason,
going to
yeah.
be the quarterback for the Colts for the whole season. At least that's the rumor. So we'll probably get into what we learn a
Oh
little
no,
bit.
that's true.
It's not confirmed though.
Well, I mean, it's true that Richardson's out.
But it's not confirmed his
Irsay
season-ending
is
surgery.
saying that he could be out for the season, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been officially
I
confirmed.
thought
Shut
I
him
read last
down.
night that he's having shoulder surgery.
It's a rumor right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he has shoulder surgery, just shut
Well,
him
let
down.
me do
but
further
it's-
investigate.
Okay, you do that.
Well, guess
do
who
that.
guess who just picked up a second starting quarterback in
We're
your
thorough
league?
here.
Daddy over here.
Oh,
did.
okay.
No, I don't want to. No, I don't want Pornhub.
Hey,
right
how
now.
about we get through the We Called It recap first?
Yeah, let's do that.
Justin Fields, bold prediction, whiff. 300 all-purpose yards, 3 touchdowns did not happen.
Yeah, to be fair to me though, he got injured
Yeah.
after like 10 throws.
It was
Yeah.
like
That's
the
part of it.
It was
though,
the
you know?
fourth
looked bad
quarter
before
he was
that.
injured in.
He did look bad before that.
look
CJ
great.
Stroud, 8 fantasy points or under, 2 interceptions, almost hit.
Almost.
I would say we were smelling the smoke there. Almost was fire.
He did throw his first one though.
Hey, Christ-centered
But I
CJ
went
Stroud,
bold.
9 touchdowns, 1 interception.
That's true.
Mac Jones, whiff.
No, well, it was there. The plays were there to be made. Jones just has
And
to
they
make
and,
them,
and they
so.
didn't happen. So 252 tuds did not happen. Michael Pittman, whiff. 10 receptions, 100 yards, and a tud did not happen.
No?
What'd he have?
What'd he have?
He had a good
He had
yards.
like 8 for like 114 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't have the tud, and it's not 10. It's not 100 plus. So
Yeah, it's not close
yeah,
enough.
almost.
That's very modest of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So stick to the end for our predictions because they're definitely going to happen this week.
For sure.
I guess now I can segue to TikTok take.
Time to check my social media, yeah. To see who loves me online.
All right, first TikTok take is going to be a quick little one. I don't need you guys to roast too hard on this one. They're all YouTube comments, actually.
Oh, good.
Oh, we're picking
Yeah.
up the tube.
At scraping_edge said Josh Allen on the pod. That's the third time I've been called Josh Allen,
Oh
boys.
gosh.
You don't look like Josh Allen to me.
Josh
You know
Allen's
what's
account.
crazy?
And it's
It's
not
like-
even like I don't even know if
This
Josh
is why
Allen
we
is.
ripped you when you weren't here because
I know I had to start off with that one.
I can see he
he
looks
has
like
never cut himself down.
I've gone to now 3 times on socials and
Maybe
1 time
he
in person.
does. I don't
he
know.
looks like Josh Allen with like a self like body shaming issue.
I've gotten Josh Allen if
It's
he's
like
a finance major.
Josh Allen before pitcher.
It's possible. Hey, I'll
Before
take
he
it.
worked out.
what Josh Allen looked like when he came out of
I
the
mean,
womb.
Josh Allen looks goofy as hell. I don't even think it's like a
Oh
compliment.
no, he doesn't.
He died. Did you
Hey,
see him
he
as a
made-
woman? He
Hey,
looked like a freaking
Didn't he
chipmunk.
make our hottest QB list?
He made hottest
No,
quarterbacks
well,
and hottest
He
quarterbacks
made
in
it
women
because
draft.
he was one of the
I
20.
wasn't there for that.
Oh, you mean like the guys?
Yeah, he did.
But
But
I think he picked him
I did,
because
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it looks like he
either way, so hey, but he's dating
Shameless
what's her face?
Did Roethlisberger make our list?
No. What's her name? She plays the new Hawkeye. Oh, what's her
Oh,
name?
I like her. She's a
Yeah.
nice looking
Josh
lady.
Allen's dating her.
yeah,
Haley
but
Steinfeld. Yeah, but
Haley
he's a quarterback.
Steinfeld.
let me
you know?
give you 150 million reasons why she maybe
He's
interested.
he's a
Yeah.
quarterback of like top 5 team. That's the best he's pulling. I'm not impressed.
She's pretty nice looking. She's
Bulls
model.
Mafia.
She's nice looking, but I mean, he
Yeah.
can
What
go
do you
like
think he should go for?
he should dip in the Leo's bag. DiCaprio doesn't go anything over 25, man. He keeps just recycling. You know,
That's right.
Josh Allen's capable of doing the same thing.
You heard it here.
Okay, so next comment is from Rob White says on YouTube. This is on the take of me saying that Brock Purdy could be like the second coming of Tom Brady, just with how the narrative's going in their careers so far. And then he said, this is kind of a long-winded one, so bear with me. He said, well, seeing as Brady would have done nothing if he wasn't in the super soft AFC East, I'd assume the new kid will be much better. Try putting Brady on the Ravens or Steelers and see how many concussions and season/career-ending injuries he suffers. Haha. Brady is soft AF. Give me Joe Montana, Elway, Aikman, Roethlisberger any day over the NFL's biggest crybaby.
That's my burner account right there. I don't know, but
sounds
I
like a
agree
Steelers
with
fan.
everything that this guy
Sounds
said.
like a Steelers fan because he threw Ben Roethlisberger in with Joe Montana and John Elway.
That response is one of those ones where it's like 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3
Yeah.
of 3, because he has to keep continuing because there's not enough characters.
I thought that was
to
a
get it
good
in there.
comment. Long-winded,
It's a
but
good
I
comment,
appreciate
and I
the
think that
passion.
there's
We
a lot,
appreciate the
like-
thought put into that.
I think Brady had the perfect setup. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, the AFC East being bad for 20 years, it does help,
Yeah.
I'd say.
That actually, I'm going to reread that. That
Having
actually
it-
does sound like a Rocky comment.
Having a top 10 defense
possible.
in almost every one of his years.
He's defending it.
He's
It's-
going, hey,
it's
you
100% his
and
burner
what's his
account.
face? I don't want to get it wrong again. I just
What's his
deleted the
name?
comment. Yeah.
Rob White.
Rob White.
Rob
Listen,
White
if I had a
says-
burner name, that'd probably be it.
Rob White.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Dick Black.
It'd be
Nice.
buck naked.
The last comment. The last comment's actually from TikTok. I lied. They're not all from YouTube. But I saw this moments before we went live on this episode.
Moments.
It is from sunglasses emoji. So I guess anonymous could be a burner because this is on Mark's do not draft Jamar Chase and draft these wide receivers take from like before the season started. Said they kind of cooked. That's a positive, cool comment.
That's
You
boom.
don't see
He's-
that too many times.
He's trying to tell you because he didn't think you would understand the comment. I think
They kind of cooked. Someone saw the post,
this is a positive.
got to see it bake in the oven for a month
Yeah.
and a half.
Yep.
Yeah.
They kind of cooked.
That's
listen,
why
we're learning new
here,
words.
Oh, we've been
guys.
cooking
'Cause
all off season.
I
We
learned
cooked.
the word glazed.
Yeah.
You
Somebody
just
said,
learned that?
Somebody
I
said
did.
old head is glazing.
I did, yeah.
But that's what we do, guys. That's what we take your shit and we compress
God.
it and we And we turn into goddamn diamonds for you. All right. So that's what we do. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so thank you for commenting. Continue to do that at GON Podcast on all your social media handles, especially on TikTok. Go get us to 10K followers. That'd be pretty cool. And before we get into our What Did We Learn, we're going to do a quick little ad read from Thrive Fantasy, one of our partners, one of our beloved partners, I would say. There's a hat right there that Phil's going to put on his head.
No.
I tried
I will hold
manipulating there.
I will pedestal it.
We have playing cards.
Playing cards, yeah.
Playing cards.
You don't get those free swag items, but what you do get is $250 instant deposit on your first match up to $250. Click the link in the bio. Click the link in the description. Scan the QR code online.
Make a little money.
If you don't do that, download Thrive Fantasy and use promo code GUYS. You're going to get a lot of cool things aside from the $250 instant deposit match. They do guaranteed money contests, sometimes even put it up to $500 instant guaranteed to continue to watch us. Prop slashes, free fantasy squares, including, I just had them pulled up and I'm going to keep talking until I get them again.
Keep
Here we
doing
go.
That's all right.
Alvin Kamara, 0.5 rushing yards
Boom.
on Thursday Night Football. Add
Book
that
it.
to a parlay. You got Tyreek Hill, 0.5 receiving yards
Book
Sunday
it.
Night Football. Add that to a parlay. Or you got Brock Purdy, 0.5 passing yards Monday Night Football.
Yeah, man. Listen to what we're telling you.
Yeah.
Go to Thrive, man. We're giving you green checks and cash and checks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Tons of checks, man.
He said it.
Checks all over, man.
So yeah, make money through Thrive Fantasy. Do the stuff that's on screen right now. And without further ado, what did we learn?
What did we learn?
All right, week 6 is in the books. Rocky, what did you learn?
What'd
So
you learn, bro?
I think what we're learning is that the Lions are the best team in the NFC.
Look how cheesy he is.
Oh,
I think they are. I think we saw a
roast
weakness.
alert.
Let's be a little more subtle, guys.
Yeah.
It's better when you're subtle.
Yeah, say it with your heart.
I'm glazing. That's right.
What is glazing?
That's like
It's like coming on somebody.
yeah, it's like you're it's like you
It's being overly enthusiastic.
overly
Yeah,
zealous.
it's like,
Yeah.
Which I don't
Like,
think
oh,
I
the
was.
Lions, so good.
Which I don't think I was at that take. I legitimately I watched them play Tampa. Tampa's looked pretty good this year. Baker's looked pretty good this year, better than Baker has.
That's
And
true.
Detroit looked good. Goff looked good. Their offense is humming. And on a fantasy side, I think you got to start looking and say, is Williams going to be the receiver we thought he could be? Coming out, his snap count has gone up. They've taken a little bit easy on him, but I think this past game he was up to 60% snaps.
Guy's a burner.
There you go.
So just
Anyways.
injected
Did that
himself
hurt
into
you?
that.
I'm sorry. Does that really stop your momentum?
Glazing on the defense.
I don't want to spend too much time on it, but do we think that Jameson Williams is kind of worth a hoot on our
Worth a
bench?
hoot?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not drinking the juice yet.
this is what I'll say, and I said this coming out of college. He doesn't have a full route tree, but the route that he runs better than a lot of NFL wide receivers.
Okay.
He does get open, he gets separation, and I think Goff has got a strong enough arm to get it to him.
Nice ball tracking on that as well.
Yeah, it seems like his only touchdowns seem to be like those deep bombs, like when he's already in the end zone.
But
So.
it may work on that team because Amon is underneath. He's running the really, like it's taken
Yeah.
a lot of the best defenders away from that deep route.
A little
And-
bit of Deshaun Jackson.
And Laporta's, I'd say that number 2 option, 11 targets last week was amazing, even though he didn't really catch them all. So
And Jameson Williams, like I said in the preseason, he's somebody that you might not want on your redraft leagues, but in your best ball leagues,
yeah.
get him on there because he is the field stretcher, just like you said. His route tree might not be the greatest. He's going to stretch the field. Goff can get him the
Field
ball.
stretcher.
He's going to pitch. He's going to pitch you some points here at the end of the season.
All right. Yeah, your turn.
What, is this a windbreaker?
Yeah, you look like you're about
Nice.
to break somebody's
he's-
legs.
Looks like a
All right, go.
windbreaker.
Original.
Douchebag.
What did I learn? I learned that, hate to admit it, man, when he leaves Green Bay and he goes to the Jet, A-Rod might be a Jedi. I don't understand it. This team would have been amazing with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. He goes down on the third play from scrimmage.
Brutal.
He's out of the build. Well, Zach, to be fair, Zach Wilson won that game the first week, but then he's out of the building for a little bit. What happens when he comes back in the building? Zach Wilson catches fire, man.
Yeah.
And I think it's in part due to A-Rod's tutelage. And I think just having A-Rod in the building with his expertise, all of his knowledge. I mean, we all watch Hard Knocks. The guy is he's an encyclopedia of knowledge on football. The guy is just he knows everything there is to know, and he even knows the little nuances that really great quarterbacks understand, and only great quarterbacks understand. And the fact that he's passing this down to Zach Wilson is proven dividends. In the modern era, the Jets are now 1-0 against the Philadelphia Eagles.
I guess so. Hey, Zach Wilson's beating the Bills. He outperformed Patrick Mahomes. He beat the Eagles. I think the Jets are kind of doing something they really haven't done before, and they're really giving it an honest effort with a quarterback that hasn't panned out so far. So.
And you know what's also shocking? I don't know if you guys saw, but Aaron Rodgers is walking without a boot.
Yeah, and throwing too.
Yeah, it's crazy. He said he'll be ready before, and
he might be a Jedi.
he might be a Jedi, or it might be the
Might
ayahuasca, or maybe some other remedies he found while he was,
I'm sure
South
he
America.
found some shit that because he's still an idiot. All right, he might be a Jedi, but he's still an idiot.
I thought you said that he wasn't. You just like the beginning of this sentence was.
Sorry, that's old Bear coming out. I have
Old
to.
Bear.
I can't just keep giving him props, because then his head will be.
Mark feels about Aaron
I know he
Rodgers
watches this show, so
like
I can't give him
vegans
too
feel
much.
about meat. That's what it is. I mean, like
Yeah,
he's
that's fair.
always thinking about it.
Yeah.
He can't have it.
He's in my head. He's always in my head.
Hey, what's the GM's name? I saw that flash too. You saw that? I think the lights are going out. Hey, like and subscribe so we can pay the electric bill.
That'd be nice.
Your GM's name is Ryan Poles, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Poles said that he's going to take the NFC North and not give it back. That was 8 losses ago to NFC North
sucks.
teams.
He
So.
just couldn't wait to get that fucking shit out.
He got
He put that in the
that-
post. He
saw
was
that
like,
this morning.
He's like, I'm gonna have this bullet in the chamber, and as soon as he says something about the Eagles,
Well, I heard Old Bear and I said, this is the time.
I'm gonna fire.
That was my cue.
Can I just say something? I'm pretty pissed off. You guys basically took my what did I learn?
Why?
I said what it was, that the Jets are good, and you basically just
I didn't take it.
you
That
went
was it.
there and then you just fucking fatality'd it.
Sorry, man. He went
The
alley-oop.
fuck?
I didn't listen to what,
Phil,
your,
what
what
did you
you
learn?
learn was.
Yeah, Phil.
What the
Phil,
hell,
what did you
man?
learn? Give it
So I'm
it.
having a pivot, but
Well,
thank God I'm resourceful.
chime in on
Can I-
the.
No,
I
I was
can-
hoping he didn't, roundhouse it to the ground so I can still say something.
I got something real quick to chime in about the Jets.
Oh, okay.
Maybe buy low on Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall's panning out.
You think it's a buy low still?
I
don't
mean,
think it is
I
after
think-
last
Gary
night.
Wilson's not a buy
we can
low.
debate it quickly. I think he's getting enough looks, and Zach Wilson seeming to be somewhat competent.
I'm saying I don't think you could get him low.
Oh,
Dude, he was a round 2 pick.
I get that, but I mean, in our chalkboard, people are trading Garrett Wilson for Jahmyr Gibbs. That's a mid off right now, in my opinion.
True, but not. I don't think after Sunday, you can get him low.
That's possible, but if you can buy low on Garrett Wilson, maybe try and feel for a trade.
Listen,
but
Feel for it.
Let's also say that not everybody in our chalkboard is necessarily Einstein either.
Oh wow,
all right?
that's pretty shitty to say. Right?
I mean, we've all got kids, right?
No,
you
you
can't
guys-
say
Listen, I
all your
think-
kids are
I think
brilliant.
they've been pretty smart. Our chalkboard
We got a community
is
going.
robust.
All right, you guys
Either way,
can pop
that's
them
my-
up. I'm gonna break them
That's
down.
my little jet.
Robust.
That's my little Jets nugget. I mean, I'm ready to not talk about this game for obvious reasons. Do I need to get any pieces out now, or are we going to revisit this game since you don't want to talk Jets?
I'm not talking Jets. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
not doing it.
no. I mean, I just expect you guys to braid me, so I don't feel like I even need to really mention it. But yeah, we can just move on. I'm
No,
totally cool
I'm
with
talking
it.
about him saying, I'm not talking about
Oh.
the Jets.
Well, I mean, you said you said my point.
I told you I was going to say A-Rod is a Jedi.
That's true. You said that, but then yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah.
I'll go with my.
Way to
new-
go, Zach.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
bad. Yeah.
way to go,
sorry,
dude.
sorry about that.
All right, so I think another thing I learned, we once said or we agreed with the notion that Dak Prescott was the black Kirk Cousins,
Yeah.
and I think Justin Herbert might be the white Dak Prescott.
Oh wow.
Nobody can out Prescott but Herbert. That game, and the fantasy spin to this is maybe just fade these guys when they're in a big primetime game. Because it seems like they just don't live up to the, what is he?
He just took my next one. You son of a bitch.
But it looked like a Prescott off. There was a Prescott off last night.
There was a
They were just trying to figure out who's going to do more Prescott.
to
And
lose this game first.
Herbert, I mean, you got two idiot coaches. You got Staley, you got
McCarthy.
Hamburger Patty over there, whatever his name is, McCarthy. Those two guys trying who's the bigger idiot, and then you got Prescott, Herbert being a better Prescott than Prescott. It sucked. And that's what I was talking about with Hubert. He just doesn't show up. And maybe big time games, maybe, besides Keenan Allen, you fade. We'll talk about Joshua Palmer probably a little bit later.
What are you looking at me like?
We're going
No.
to touch on it.
No.
Yeah, so Joshua Palmer, a guy I said to pick up on your waivers a couple weeks ago, had a good game, 3 end zone targets, but what happened? One of them was almost intercepted. The other one was almost intercepted.
And they don't run on the goal line, which,
Yeah.
sorry, Austin Eckler owners.
No, I think you have to, my take was going to be you have to fade almost all of their players right now because their offense isn't working. Like Keenan had a decent game because he caught the touchdown.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just hard. It's hard to
Can I
start
offer
any of them with
pushback?
yeah.
What are you going to push?
Justin Herbert is a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Kellen Moore and the air raid makes sense for fantasy. And Austin Eckler is one game now played from a hamstring injury that kept him out 6 weeks. That they need time to implement him. And Keenan Allen, like we said, is startable. And I think Josh Palmer had 10 fantasy points for the second week in a row.
Good push, Jalen.
Boo.
No, those are, but I'm looking for more than 10 points from a wide receiver.
But to your point, it was definitely a Prescott off last night.
It was. I do agree with that.
He targeted Palmer 3 times, right?
7 times.
Oh, no, end zone
in
targets.
the end zone, yeah.
The same thing with Prescott. Prescott had 2 short touchdowns to Michael Gallup, who I said to make sure you roster on deep benches.
Third horseman is what you
Well,
call
And
it.
I
first
think
one-
we on our chalkboard were hyping up Gallup too. I thought he was going to have a good
So
week.
that first one he was open.
Not me, you.
The first one he was
But take
open,
credit for
he
it 'cause-
overthrows him. The second one he was open again, he underthrew him.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
tough.
he literally probably had 80 to 100 air yards.
And
it
2
was-
touchdowns
yeah.
taken away, negated by Prescott's inability to be a good
And
quarterback.
Jake Ferguson, a guy, a top 10 tight end, goes in last night, 1 catch.
Yeah.
For like 10 yards, and that was it. He's quiet all night.
So the Chargers are the Cowboys of the AFC.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting from this as well.
And going back to our previous statement, saying that Dak Prescott is the black Kirk Cousins is an
insult to Kirk
service
Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
It is at this point, yeah. But that statement was made, years ago. So
What was,
I think
what was Jameis? He was or black Jesus. Is that
No,
what we call
no.
Jameis?
no. He was Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Black Fitzmagic, something like that.
Fitzmagic.
Oh my god, I don't remember that one.
All right. Well, Joshua Palmer, like you said, 4 catches, 7 targets, 3 in the end zone, but they don't convert. So maybe it seems like when Dallas is playing, I mean, I guess besides the Giants just shit pumping them, but when Dallas is playing like they're 1 o'clock, they're 4 o'clock, you're not paying as much attention. Dak goes off, the offense looks great. They get in a primetime game, they're 10-7 going into the 4th quarter. So there you go. That's
Cool.
what I learned.
All right, I got a few quick things. I feel like that's usually what do I learns are. That was also not good English. I'm fucking up right now, boys. Dalton Schultz, buy low while you can. He is still someone that I think you can get for almost cheap. I traded Miles Sanders for Cortland Sutton and Dalton Schultz, by the way, boys. That was last week. That's a big dub so far. He's becoming a top 10 tight end. He's got 3 touchdowns in 3 games, back to back to back. So try and get him on your team. I also learned to buy low in Sutton because I bought low in Sutton and it's panning out. He had 14 points, the only touchdown in the Broncos offense, and it seems like Russell Wilson and Sutton is the only thing you can really remotely trust. And then buy low in Jeff Wilson. Any Miami Dolphin can go off in fantasy. That's the biggest what did I learn. Doesn't matter who it is. Jeff Wilson is going to do the same thing. At least that's what I'm predicting. So buy low on him while he's still technically on IR.
Yeah, I agree 100% on the Miami running backs. The reality is with those receivers, you've got to keep an extra man back.
Yeah.
And so if you're a decent runner who can move side to side, you're going to get your points.
That's right.
Yep. So with no
I always feel like Phil's
bullshitting you.
That's right.
Yeah, no A-chain. I mean, Wilson's behind Mostert. Mostert with another 33 points in a lot of scoring formats. Hill almost has 1,000 yards receiving through 6 weeks of football. Tua, top 5 fantasy quarterback. Miami Dolphins. Put every single one of them in your lineup if you have them.
Kill best wide receiver in the league.
One of my
I'd
my
say so.
fantasy leagues. One guy who's never played fantasy before, but likes the Dolphins.
You made a trade with him.
No, he drafted every Dolphin possible.
That's right.
And he's freaking 5-0 or 6-0 now.
That's crazy.
And
It's-
he's talking so much shit, but he knows nothing about fantasy. But it's I can't say anything.
It's an
to him.
anomaly right now. It's
Yeah.
an anomaly. I'd like to say, and I think fantasy footballers made this tweet, that Adam Thielen and Raheem Mostert are 2 guys that no one gave a shit about in the offseason, at least in a big format. We definitely thought Adam Thielen's old and white, but you can still do it, buddy. That was a clip that we had. But I think in general, there are some players that I'm learning. I guess my what did I learn is that I need to be a little bit more, get a slice of humble pie and trade for fantasy relevant players instead. Because I'm still holding on to Joe Mixon for no reason at all, but I did trade for David Montgomery, and I traded Chris Olave for him and CJ Stroud. And I think you got to do those things. You got to take I've been low on for his entire career, but it might be worth trading who you probably drafted in your second or third round for it because you need to start winning games. So
the problem is
there's
you
your
can't
motivation.
get like you almost can't get anything for like Mixon right now. Like and I have a couple like Jerry Jeudy. I honestly believe he might be better than Sutton. But he's not performing better than Sutton.
No.
You got to go with where the points are. Is what I'm learning into the middle of the season. It's not a new what did I learn. It's just it's week 6, week 7, and here's your advice or momentum from us to do those trades that you need to do.
Are we going? We're going again?
Yeah.
You're going? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go real quick. One thing I learned is that the Browns defense is for real, not only on the regular football field, but also in fantasy. They've got 3 weeks over 9 points, 1 week over 14. Mm-hmm. They're averaging almost 10 points. It's a solid scoring fantasy defense. And I do think that in the regular football, world, they are starting to make me feel like they've got something cooking. Jim Schwartz.
I missed you, Jim Schwartz. Come back.
Yeah.
Mark, what did you learn?
What did I learn? I once again learned that I have to temper my expectations with any happiness being a Bears fan. Come back down to reality, and that Chicago absolutely sucks. This coaching staff is atrocious. We should walk all of these guys out into the streets on leashes, naked, shaming them through the streets of Chicago because their play calling is absolute shit.
Trash.
Justin Fields holds onto the ball way too goddamn long, resulting in an injury now this past week with the dislocated thumb. So he's out for the foreseeable future. We bring in goddamn young white boy Tad Arms, who everyone's like, oh, here we go.
He played at like St. Shepherd University or something, like D2 school.
Let's revive because he was like a cult hero in the preseason. What does he do?
Tyson
Badgett, and he fumbles, return for a touchdown. I mean, this team's terrible. So what I learned is that I think it's time. Sell high on DJ Moore if you can. It's time to cut bait with all of your Chicago players. Fields is out for the foreseeable future. Depending on what their mindset is with their pick and Carolina's picks going into next season, they could potentially end up shelving Justin for the rest of the season to ensure these top 2 picks. Yep. They could shelf Justin to try to make him at least 100% physically ready to play next year for a potential trade partner.
And I think that team will really appreciate the fact that you're giving up on Justin Fields, who many of us were calling to be possibly the #1 fantasy football quarterback. I don't think the issue is him. I think much like
it's 100% it's the coaching,
play calling. Yeah, just
it's
like
the coaching,
Dallas, I think a lot of it.
But
he's
not a very fast processor. So with that being said, just his physicality, his athleticism alone will net us a high return. Like it's not one of those situations where we're going to trade him for like a 5th round pick with Cleveland or some shit like that. It's going to definitely be somebody who you can get return on, but they might end up shutting him down. If that happens, DJ Moore's value is nil. The running back game, now it's Deontay Foreman because the other 2 are dealing with a concussion, and I don't know what Herbert's dealing with. I don't know. Vaginitis, whatever the hell's going on there. I don't really know. But I hate to say it, man. I hope next week I learn that Chicago's back, but I goddamn doubt it.
Before I get to mine, I just want to say that's a great take.
Yeah, good job.
Big brain take. Get ahead of the curve. Get rid of DJ Moore. I agree with him. They got the first 2 picks as we stand. There's no way they're going to let Justin Fields fluky games here and there take them out of that spot.
Yeah.
And as good as he still may be, if you have a chance to get Caleb Williams, I think
you
ship him off and you grab him.
And you got to fire your coach.
You got to fire your coach.
You've got a perfect reason to bench him,
John
put him on
Harbaugh.
the IR. You do, because if he's healthy, you got to play him.
I want Harbaugh back in town so
you
bad.
got to be rooting.
Harbaugh, McMichael, bring in Singletary. Let's get all the old Bears back, man. That's what Chicago needs.
Right,
that town needs a goddamn dose of history.
All right,
And
right,
hey,
relax.
and
So
but if you lose 3 in a row, you could
this
just
is
off
what I
one of
get-
them
this
and then
is
you
what I get
win.
Fired up. You just gave me goosebumps. Now I'm getting fired up. Now I'm
that's
back
the
on the
plan.
Chicago train.
that's the plan.
Chicago 2024.
Get all the old Bears legends in
No,
one
that's not the plan.
vicinity,
No,
and
no.
then if you start losing a few games in a row, you just kind of sacrifice one, and then they win a
Chicago
really
Bears.
big game with that
Wait till
momentum,
next
and then
year.
hopefully that rides out.
If you don't think that Ryan Poles is having visions of John Harbaugh and Caleb Williams already,
Yeah.
I mean, it's there for them.
With Marvy Harry Jr.
I guarantee if Michigan can at the very least get to the national championship this year, and they get the first pick and they come knocking, I think Harbaugh goes back to the
You better be rooting for
Listen,
Michigan, Mark.
Even worse, if he doesn't get deep in the
I think he
playoffs,
stays.
I do not.
No?
I think that they'll run him out of town. They almost fired him 2 years ago.
That's true.
And they're idiots. I'm not saying that they're correct in doing it, but 2 years ago they made him fire his entire staff and rehire a new group. So either one way or another, I think he could end up with the Bears.
All right, so what I learned really quickly is that both the Eagles and the 49ers are not infallible, right? Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts both looked very human. I'll let you expand on it because you watched way more of that game than I did. But we did learn that I think both of these guys, to a certain extent, I think Brock Purdy more so, is still a guy that you could kind of rattle his cage. Hurts looked a little out of his element. I'll say from the highlights I looked at, looked a little stupid a few times. You know when you get a quarterback running around, doesn't know what he's doing? Like, I haven't seen Jalen Hurts not look cool in a while. I'm being honest. It's probably since that year where he, before he kind of started taking off. Yeah. But I seen a few times yesterday where he looked like he didn't know what the hell he was doing.
How many tush pushes did they have
But
yesterday?
I think it's
I don't know.
also partly because we may have seen what could be the two of the better defensive lines in the NFL,
That's
being
true.
the Jets and the Browns. Because I agree, like that's not how Hurts looked against KC in the Super Bowl. Until
No, yeah.
If
last
you
couple
keep
times.
Philly away from
still look good
Philly
there.
away from 3rd and 2 and 4 and 1, they are exposable.
I think every team is, but I think there's been a kind of an air about them and the 49ers since like midpoint of last season that these guys are kind of just, and they still probably are the two favorites along with, I guess, Detroit now, but I think we did learn that they can be stopped. Now, it's going to be a matchup kind of based thing.
It's a week-to-week matchup, I think.
I still think you got to fire up, your A.J. Browns,
I'm glad he said
your
that. That's what I was going to say.
Devontae Smiths, all that stuff, and then for the 49ers, the usual suspects. But I would be hesitant with certain guys, like maybe you're not firing up Swift all the time. Maybe you're not firing up Ayuk.
Well,
I don't know where to go with those two
Swift
either.
had
Ayuk
18
and
points
Debo.
in that Jets game, though.
Yeah, but still, I just don't like the way it looked. Like,
Ayuk-
that happened that time, but that's because
IU can be controlled when Debo's not in the game. That
To your point.
was the biggest, to me, the biggest knock against Sam Fran, I think, is losing Debo early in the game.
So in the Jets game, do you think it was more about that Swift was just good enough to still produce, or that they were focused on taking away those wideouts?
I mean, our identity is to run the ball, and we couldn't do that. I mean, there are a few reasons why we looked the way we did.
Yeah.
You could say it was because of injuries, like having Lane Johnson out, like having Jalen Carter, Darius Slay, our starting safety, a few things. I mean, Jack Driscoll let up more QB pressures and sacks than Lane Johnson has done in 4 years. So you lose somebody like that, you're going to take a downgrade.
It's tough.
Well, and
I think
Swift
play calling.
Swift got his points right around the line of scrimmage receiving.
Our
When
play
he
calling
was running,
is,
he was only
is
like
suspect.
1.8 yards per rush, but he was able to catch the ball and get the touchdown.
I'm contradicted because like we look like we're not play calling with momentum like we did last year with Steichen. We're relying more on our playmakers. That's why you're seeing A.J. Brown have these really big games in certain strings, and same thing with DeAndre Swift. But we're actually better in points, yards, first downs, and third down percentage.
He came prepared to battle.
I had the stats.
Well,
But
but I think
you know
what
what?
you said is correct about going forward, though. This next stretch will tell us a whole lot about.
Yeah,
who the
no, we're
Eagles
about to.
are.
You're about to see me. You're about to see me lackadaisical.
But
We're about
I
to lose
can't-
3 games in the next 7 or something like that. It's going to be real. We're going to be
it
litmus
is.
tested.
Can't wait. But I couldn't agree with Phil more. I think there's only one reason that you go to an Eagles game.
Oh wow, you really teed yourself up, huh?
Teed it up.
You showing us your tits? I
There's
mean,
only one reason to go.
For the audio listeners, Mark's wearing an "I'm only here for the cheesesteaks" shirt.
Yeah, but
I'm
you know what?
only here
I'm
for the
happy he
cheesesteaks.
moved those because I couldn't see it
hey,
through
you know
the
what?
screens.
I believe him. Damn it.
You know what? Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts both said that you can learn a lot from losing, and I guess the solution is signing Julio Jones because that's who we have now as our third wide receiver.
That makes
And
sense.
if
It fixes everything.
Ben Johnson doesn't get canned, then he better fix it because
God
those are
damn
the two
it,
options.
Buddha. Stop trying to find silver linings. Just
Yeah.
take your L, you bastard.
Everybody
Let us
heard it.
throw shit at your
Pick
wall.
up, pick up Julio on the
No,
waiver
don't
wire.
pick up Julio. Not worth it. Hey, Super Bowl teams besides the Dolphins,
But I will
they
say,
lose games in the regular season. You got to get 3 losses in your belt, and I feel good about it. So
to touch real
2 more
quick
to
though
go.
on
You're gonna
San
touch real
Fran,
quick?
San Fran, Cleveland. I think Rocky pulled like a warlock move here when he sent me his lineup for our
He's as
suicide
old as
pool.
one. I mean,
He sent Purdy all day, Ayuk all day.
he
You
knew.
bastard.
He knew.
He was like, I'm up by a couple of points. I'm going to try to will this Browns win in.
funny.
Listen, that game was interesting to me, and I'm a Browns fan,
You are
of
a Browns
course.
fan.
Raisin Bran.
But
Brains fan.
to do, everybody was talking about CMC going out in the third quarter and Debo. I
Nick
get
Chubb
that.
was out before the game
That's
started.
it. Nick Chubb,
fact.
Conklin was out. Our two best linemen were out. We have Njoku who's got
Everybody's got
wearing a
people
mask because he got a burnt face.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's just his fault.
Looks
though.
go
cool.
time.
Remember that
Cool.
show from the
PJ Walker.
from the 80s, The Mask? That's what.
Yeah.
He-
No, that outfit was good.
Don't remember that.
That outfit was cool.
Your turn.
My final, what did I
No,
learn?
not Jim Carrey, not The Mask.
Oh, I don't know. Like a
Ma-
spooky movie?
Mask.
No,
it
it's-
was.
it was kind of a coming of age.
Can we cut this part of the show out and send it to
You're
the
gonna break
fucking
the
moon?
you're gonna break the table, Phil. Keep shaking shit. Oh my gosh.
No, you need to find
we are
what you
getting
need to
a
do. You
table.
need to find a picture of Mask and put it up next to Njoku.
Yeah, not happening.
Don't need to do that.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are interested, but November 19th, Browns versus Steelers in
No, not
Cleveland.
interested, no.
Come on.
Oh man.
In the cold, come on.
That sounds like a 3-6 game.
I would actually go up there though for the Browns Bears game possibly.
Hey, well, this is cool. What
Yeah.
did I learn? I learned that Drake London is cemented into your flex every single week. He had 21 fantasy points, almost 22. He's looking good. Not top 12 yet, Rocky. I don't know why you're pointing at yourself.
He's coming. He's coming.
He's coming.
Pause.
He's
coming.
glazing.
And then my other wide receiver, what did I learn? Is that Calvin Ridley is going to be streaky this year, and you just gotta
wow.
you just gotta suffer.
Look at that.
Just suffer. Keep him at your wide receiver too. He's going to do enough for you.
I think now after week 6, these two what did you learns are complete opposites of what did we learn
week
earlier
one.
in the season, where we said Calvin Ridley is him and Drake London get him off your roster.
Yeah. What we learn's changed, but you got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, you gotta roll with the
Before
punches.
we get into our weekly waiver wire, we're going to do a quick little plug from Chalkboard. Chalkboard.
Okay, yeah.
Click the link in our bio, scan the QR code on screen. It is a 24/7 free fantasy football advice Discord forum that we have for you. You can ask anything in that. You have, trade advice, start sit advice, just lineup advice, whatever you want, it's there. We also do, Mark has his start sits. Rocky has his cheat sheets. He literally lists like the top 60, what we think is going to happen. And the service is pretty accurate.
90.
And then 90. Thank you for correcting me. And then we have Phil's picks. So
Not
there's-
doing so well, but we're gonna rebound.
there's a lot of valuable information, and it is seriously free. You should definitely do it. We're in there as much as we can. You get a lot of cool announcements in there
right.
about the show, and then also about how to win your own lineup. It helps us a lot, so please check out Chalkboard, link in the bio. And now,
Not to glaze all over young Zaddy.
That
I wanted to
was
say-
all kind of weird.
I did that intentionally to
bet you
be
did.
awkward, but
sure.
he's done a great job of answering questions
Yes.
within a chalkboard. And I'm trying to jump in there and help out when I can, but
it's a team effort.
yeah.
Your fantasy sheets are crazy. It's like nobody, crickets, Rocky. Here's the top 65 kickers to start this weekend.
It's crazy though, because like
so in-depth.
what fantasy podcast is dropping a
Exactly.
cheat sheet of the top 90
Well,
Yeah.
last week I updated it
for free.
after Friday. I updated it too to factor in some of the later
That's good.
injury reports.
Look
and
at
all that,
you.
So
Hey,
Come on.
appreciate that. So
I'm
now,
working for you, please.
please, and now, without further ado,
Come on, baby. I need you this week. It's your time. Time for a breakout.
Don't turn daddy down in the
I just
Always
wanted
turns
to.
it down
I
right.
wanted to.
Turn it
No, I
down
wanted to
in the
protect
middle.
your ears. I didn't change the volume on the YouTube.
My ears they don't need protection.
Well, maybe mine just do. Okay, weekly waiver wires. We have
My ears
two.
like you're raw.
Nice.
Maybe it's because he's trying to prevent himself from glazing the inside of his Fruit of the
All right,
Looms.
we gotta stop.
Well, you guys really learned a new word and just won't
Idiots.
stop talking about it, huh? Okay, Rocky, your first weekly waiver.
Yeah, this one is a little bit, to me, I think he should already be picked up in most leagues, but the reality is he's only been picked up in 15%. I'm starting to become a believer in Sam Howell. 18 fantasy points in 4 out of the last 5 games. 276 yards, 2 TDs since week 4 in almost every game. He's kind of topped that. To me, he's got a very soft schedule coming up, starting next with the G-Men.
That's Phil Soft.
Yeah. And I think he's got a sneaky good wide receiver core and 2 running backs that are not only good runners, but also good receivers
Well,
on the
wait.
backfield.
Why'd you come at me like that? I don't want to tear down your
No,
waiver
I,
pick
I
right here.
didn't
What
come.
you
I
came
just,
at me?
It was part of it. I was saying
Hey,
they had
Sam
a
Howell.
soft schedule, and it was starting
No,
first.
it's
Is
a
it
good-
soft though? We just shut the Bills down.
Well,
Did we or we didn't?
Bills did a lot of self.
Oh, okay. I guess. Well, maybe they will
Washington
too.
knows you guys like the Dallas Cowboys do.
They
so I'm
can't beat
expecting
us.
that
They
kind of
haven't
game.
beat us in like the last 5 years. So
Well,
I wasn't trying to come against your
bad
team.
waiver ad.
hey, I'll pivot. Sam Howell, good waiver wire. I had him early in the season. I think it was week 2 for waiver wire. So he stood the test of time,
Yeah.
and people aren't picking him up. So maybe now's your time before
When you're
there's
coming
like
to
8
buys,
good games in there.
you're in the buy season to where you might need a quarterback to come off the bench, or when Justin Fields getting hurt, AR getting hurt.
I might drop Deshaun Watson for him.
Yeah.
That's not even bait. That's serious thought process.
Plus, you also have to remember when we're talking about this caliber of player, there's going to be a lot of dropping, re-adding of these guys
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were probably on somebody's roster and then dropped
Yeah.
them.
Anyway, I mean, week 2 that he wasn't in week 7 going into it. He's still there. So
But with that being said, that should not deter you from going out and getting these
yeah, that's
guys.
what I'm saying.
You know, it's funny to me because I know like you hate Washington, and I get why because
I don't
they're
hate Washington.
They're
For
definitely
me,
like
the-
the 4th least annoying. I'd say
It's like
as an NFC East
all right.
fan.
So think about it like this: like he's the Eagles. I hate him.
yeah,
like
go,
I hate the Eagles.
Go Birds.
you hate Dallas.
I hate Dallas a lot.
It's
And
like
then
1A, 1B.
You're like the
Fucking
Redskins.
pointing at
Like
me.
I'm
I don't like
indifferent.
Dallas.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you're annoying. Most of the time,
I agree with
find
that.
myself
Whatever.
for whatever reason rooting and wanting Washington to do well. I don't know why.
Weird.
I don't I kind of like Ron Rivera.
Psychopath
like I kind of
behavior.
like him a little bit.
you like
Riverboat.
Snyder. You like Snyder. You're a big Snyder fan.
No.
Kind of looks like him. I've said this since the dawn of time. He looks like Snyder.
Big Snyder guy.
I've heard Snyder before. I've heard the politician from Texas.
You also Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
You also look like the comedian. Who
know.
said it? Man, Schultz.
Carrot Top.
Andrew Schultz. Is that his name?
Yeah, Schultz.
Schultzy. That's what
Yeah,
we call him?
somebody called you in the
Yeah,
comments.
listen, Schultz.
You got
is a good-looking
doppelgangers.
guy.
You got doppelgangers.
Good-looking guy.
Let's get the 4 of you on a podcast together.
Man, let's say it.
Look a little like Dave
All
Chappelle.
three
Can you
of those
imagine
guys.
Rocky, Dan Schneider, Andrew Schultz, and Ted Cruz on a podcast?
That'd be freaking hilarious. We'd be
amazing.
canceled, but
That's a
that'd
nightmare
be
blunt
ridiculous.
rotation. Okay.
It would be Schultz
Yeah.
just taking shots rapid fire at everybody. Boom, 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 boom.
So, Mark, what's
Mark,
your
who do you
weekly
got?
waiver?
All right. So this guy,
he just glazed. Sorry.
this guy, not only is he probably not rostered in a lot of leagues, fantasy wise, but he's also currently not rostered in the NFL. But what I want to tell you is right now is the time that you want to start hoarding guys for the end of the season. Where
been
there's
saying that
smoke,
for 3
there's
weeks, you know?
fire. Where there's I'm going to keep pushing that narrative.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what a good
it's
podcast
it's
does.
it's like 4th and 1. I'm tush pushing for 3 yards here.
Man, you've
That's
mentioned
what's going
Tush
on.
Push a few times now.
He likes that.
That's Leonard Fournette. Go out and get Fat Lenny. Where there's smoke, there's fire. He's visiting Buffalo. Buffalo just had Damian Harris go down with that neck injury. They're working Latavius Murray into a rotation with James Cook, even though James Cook's YPC is far superior to Murray. That tells me that they don't think that maybe Cook can handle a full 3-down back roll.
Yeah.
So maybe they go a little bit younger, a little bit fresher legs, and somebody who's been there, done that with Fat Lenny. And I don't think it's a terrible pickup. I don't think
Hope not.
you're not gonna spend a ton of free agent bucks on him. But if you're in one of those worst to first waiver wire type pickups and you have somebody to get rid of, then it's not a bad ad.
Yeah.
Go ahead and add him. I think that he will end up being rostered by mid-season somewhere, and he will be utilized more as the year goes on.
I think from watching that game, I think they like to use Latavius as kind of a tone setter.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I seen it felt.
Yeah.
Like he's just a downhill guy that's punishing linebackers.
It feels like he's just in there to try to inflict pain on people.
Exactly. That's
Go
what it
Knights.
looks like. Yeah.
Charge on.
All right, so I'm going to go one running back, and this is kind of a shot in the dark, but I'm going with a guy, Savannah Med. You guys probably remember him a couple of years ago. Popped on the scene for the Dolphins, had a 2-3 game run. With A-Chain out, Mostert producing, he's a guy I would roster for the next few weeks.
Just
if
to
I
see.
got buys, maybe I need to fill him in at the flex. And that offense, I think there's a chance he could produce last week. Only 6 carries, nothing crazy on YPC, but on YPC, but receptions, he had 5 targets, caught 3, gave you 12 points.
Had a tud, right?
Yeah, he had a touchdown. Well, I just don't like to mention touchdowns because
Yeah, they're fluky.
they're fluky. But I do think the target share there, all that underneath stuff with Hill and Waddle running around, I think he's worth picking up and seeing what happens over the next few weeks, at least until A-Chain is firmly back.
Cool. If you're like me, you need tight ends kind of frequently because that's a setup right there. But Michael Mayer is somebody that you should pick up on your waiver wire. He had a lot of good looks against the Patriots last week. 6 targets, 5 receptions, 75 yards is pretty good. They haven't been good weeks 1 through 3, at least with targeting Mayer, but he's a rookie and getting integrated slowly into an offense. NFL week 5, he had 3 targets. 9 last week is pretty promising. I think that's a guy that could be at least top 12. That's not saying a whole lot, but in the tight end position, it's kind of a wasteland. If you picked up Chigo last week because I suggested it, drop him and pick up Mayer. Because honestly, with tight end, you can lose, you can win, you can lose again, and you can find out week to week. Streaming tight ends is something I definitely believe in fantasy. If you don't have one of the top 3 picks, and I think Mayer is a really good pickup, I'm picking him up because I need a tight end this week.
I like that. That was very humble of you. You're like, hey guys, I swung and I missed really bad last week.
Not really bad.
Terribly. It was a whiff. This was a
bad as the
3-1.
Braves, yeah.
This was a 3-1 count. I knew fastball was coming, and I lost control of the bat.
Well, I think
on Chigo, and then you're saying that you're going to redeem yourself this week with Michael Mayer, and I think you will.
Well, tight ends 6 through 25 probably had 4 points, so Chigo's in that category.
Chigo.
You're wrong about that, but I get your point.
I dig the Chig. All right.
Weekly waiver 2.
My second waiver pickup is another one that I think should be obvious. He's probably been on somebody's team already, but if he's not rostered in your league, pick him up. He's only rostered in 21% of leagues, and that is Kareem Hunt. He saw his largest snap count since he's been back. He's approaching 45% of the snaps. Not only that, he's not the old Kareem, but he is showing some of the sparks, some of the speed. He had a great 16-yard touchdown where it was more him than the line. He was able to knock over one guy and get around the edge.
That's good. Good
and
info.
He also is somebody who is very mixed into the passing game. And so I think he's going to probably be somebody who can get you 10 points most weeks.
Nice.
All right.
Go.
This one, I'm going to go for a wide receiver deep cut here. We were all pretty high on Jackson Smith and Jigba coming into the season as wide receiver 3 in Seattle. It's not been really the case. He's kind of been splitting time with this guy.
Splitting God.
Splitting time with this guy. Jake Bobo. Go out and get him off your waiver wire.
Good name.
He had
Good name.
3 targets, 2 catches for 43 yards. The guy is built like a brick shithouse. He's huge. He looks like the white DK Metcalf out there. He's jacked. And I think that Geno loves jacked dudes, and I think he's going to start throwing to him a little bit more often. And I'm telling you, I think that Jake Bobo is not a terrible waiver wire stash.
I think he'll be available.
He's definitely available.
Somebody actually drafted him in one of my leagues. And
Did he really?
I had to look him up. I was like, who the hell is Jake Bogo?
From UCLA, baby.
Yeah.
This year's
Go
Clee
Bruins.
Freeman. Phil?
This year's who?
My
Clee
turn.
Freeman.
Hey, so I'm gonna go back to the tight end market here. Before I do that, I want to highlight Jonnu Smith and it's for a reason.
Again.
Because the last 2 weeks, I know a lot of you guys play on ESPN. I've been reading their little write-ups on him. And last week I read it, I was like, what are these people talking about? So here's a little hint. Watch us. Don't read those little blurbs on ESPN. Because they were a week late. I was saying pick up Jonnu Smith last week. I was thinking it the week before. Last week I read this, and Jonnu Smith was already a top 10 tight end. He's still a top 10 tight end. And they were saying he's maybe a low-end tight end too. And I'm looking at the guy. He was outscoring Kyle Pitts, and you're still recommending this, telling people not to start this guy. I just didn't understand where they were going with that.
Fucking Matthew
But
Berry.
I just wanted to throw that out there. I said
What
that
does he
last
know?
week. They changed their tune this week, saying he's viable and all that stuff. So, Jonnu Smith, another big game. But the guy I'm going to talk about, as I alluded to, is Trey
I love the plug.
Trey McBride, okay? Trey McBride, 4 or 5 targets this week for 62 yards. But here's the big thing. McBride outsnapped Mr. Zach Ertz this week.
No.
Yes, he did.
Say it
And
isn't so.
Guess what they're doing in Arizona? They're losing a whole lot of games. They drafted Trey McBride pretty high. They got Dobbs in there. They got, what's his name? Michael Wilson? Is that the...
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, I think they're going youth movement here. It's not a mistake that Ertz got less snaps than McBride. They drafted him. They got to get him out there, get him some experience. They're building towards the future. I like McBride to start to get even more work and kind of outsnap Ertz probably for the rest of the season unless something unforeseen
Zach
happens.
Ertz come home. Jim Schwartz come home.
He's
Trey
going
McBride.
to Denver.
And one last thing, just to point out, this is the same reason I like Jonnu Smith. What I look for when I'm on the waiver wire when it comes to wide receivers and tight ends, I'm looking for a guy that's getting 10 points without a touchdown. If you can hit that mark, he hit 10 points this week. If you can hit that mark without a TD, I feel pretty comfortable rostering
That's
somebody like
convincing.
that.
That's good.
Because I know that you're hovering around 9, 10 points without a TD. And if you happen to get one, look at that. I got a starting wide out or a tight end.
Hey,
if
so
not,
did-
I got a guy that's serviceable.
Mayer did the same thing. 2 good options.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
tight end. There you go. Look
There
at
you
that.
go.
This is a plug off right now.
My second weekly waiver is Zach Evans. I'm surprised we didn't really mention it a whole lot, but Kyron, top 5 fantasy running back, has gone down. His backup has gone down. You have Royce, what's his last name? Royce Freeman, who they just picked up off practice squad.
Yeah.
And then you have Zach Evans, who I know you were pretty high on in the offseason. Another plug. But I think he's going to do well. I think that's a guy that you can get. And then quickly, and obviously, Craig Reynolds is a good backup for David Montgomery, Jason Mason, and Elijah Mitchell for CMC if the rib in a week is more than just a concern. But Zach Evans is who I'd prioritize, and then those 3 other running backs are obvious ones that I don't think we need to mention. So those are weekly waivers.
I like what you did there.
Alrighty, and then without further ado, and we're definitely starting with Rocky on this one because I don't have anything and I'll think about this on air.
I've got something ready.
We called it bold predictions, a very specific bold prediction. Could be bad, could be good. Rocky, what do you have?
I'm not batting a very high, like I'm not doing very well.
I don't
in
think
this.
any of us are.
Yeah,
Some of us are smelling
Yeah.
some sort of truth.
but this is the one that I break through. This
right.
is the bold pick where it works.
I like it.
Amari Cooper will get over 110 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Colts.
All right, I like it.
Whether it be Deshaun Watson or the newly reinvigorated P.J. Walker throwing the ball to him, I think they're going to find the end zone together quite often.
That's good.
I like,
That's
the, I,
good.
like
Sounds-
the, I, like
sounds
the
about
dramatic,
it. Yeah.
I like the dramatic pause too. He was like 110 yards.
Realized what I was about to say, and then I just push forward.
It
The
sounds
2 touchdowns is
intimate.
bold. That is bold. I will give
Yeah.
you that. 110.
This
I
is
mean,
what-
I would want that weekly out of my wide receiver 1.
From a fantasy perspective, let me tell you why. PJ called, not Dobbs, Jacoby Brissett and said, what advice can you give me about the Cleveland receivers? And he said, if Amari beats the guy off the line, throw his way. And he did it 4 times, over 100 yards. and really should have had a touchdown, but it was a good tackle to keep it from happening. I just think it's going to happen against a weaker Colts defense. Number 19 defense in the league, especially around their cornerback. So I think that Amari might really be a fantasy producer.
I really didn't think that you said Cleveland receivers there. I thought you said Cleveland Steamers.
I heard
Did you hear it too?
Yeah. We're steamers.
Cleveland receivers, Cleveland Steamers, different years, different results.
And tomato.
Yeah.
Mark?
Bold prediction. You drafted him high. I told you to draft him high. But he's a Wookiee. Can he really make the top 12 in running backs? He can. This is the week that you've been waiting for Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson going up against this Tampa Bay defense. I'm telling you right now, I'm calling for 25-plus fantasy points. Get him in your goddamn lineups.
Hey-yo.
Wow.
Phil?
All right. The Vikings hosting the 49ers. I'm saying Jordan Addison goes for over $120 and catches 1 TD. I hope that's bold enough.
I'd say that's bold enough.
That's bold enough.
Well, you guys went with rookies. I'm going to go with rookies as well. The Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens are playing each other. I think Zay Flowers has 20-plus fantasy points. He caught a touchdown last week. He finally caught a touchdown last week, and he's going to do it again this week. And maybe a little sprinkle in there. Laporta is going to finish at the tight end 1 for the week.
I tell you what, man. If out of all the rookie wide receivers, Zay Flowers is really impressing me. This dude does not look like a rookie.
He's getting targeted like crazy.
Listen,
crazy.
It's early, and I get this comparison is this is a bold prediction. Zay Flowers is Tyreek Hill light. The way this dude looks, the way this dude moves, the way this dude gets open. Look for Zay Flowers to really be one of those electric guys on the gridiron for years to come. I don't know if he'll ever hit Tyreek's full potential, but he is going to produce for years.
I think he's in a good situation with receivers that aren't quite healthy. And I think in that offense, with that offensive coordinator, they're targeting him pretty quickly
and
around the line.
He's had some weird drops or some weird looks where, and we talked about it last week with our What Did We Learn, how if the Ravens wide receivers catch Lamar's a top 5 fantasy quarterback, those are going to go away as it progresses. I'm telling you, he's going to finish top 15, I think, fantasy wide receivers. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but that's what I think in my bones. I did forget to do the megaphone voice on you with your waiver wires, and I'm a little bummed about it because that was 2 weeks in a row. But I also forgot a quick little one that I wanted to do, so I'll just do it to myself real quick.
Oh, man.
Devin Singletary. If you can afford to pick up somebody while they have a bye week, please roster Devin Singletary. There's a little bit of a shift of the guards in Houston. Damian Pierce and Singletary are splitting some carries. And Phil's famously said, go where the money goes. They paid Singletary.
Yes,
I think he's on a 3-year deal, similar to Montgomery. Not as crazy as Montgomery. Not saying Singletary will be Montgomery. But if you can afford to pick up a player while they're on a bye week, I think rostering Singletary is a good ad.
Some of us were not very hot on Damian Pierce to begin with. So I think this is another really... Look at you doing your homework. You are like IT Josh Allen.
There it is.
You're all over it.
Well, that is... Should probably speak in the mic. That is the show. Congratulations, guys, for getting through a very informative and riveting episode of Guys on Sports. If you are still with us, please make your money through Daily Fantasy, Thrive Fantasy. Please join us on Chalkboard and ask us fantasy questions 24/7 to help win your lineup, please. And please subscribe, comment on this episode and anywhere you follow social media, including our handle, GON Podcast. We love you, thank you, and goodbye.
See ya.